Welcome to the Teachers on Fire podcast, where 21st century educators come to share, learn, and be inspired. We believe in the growth mindset, creativity, communication, critical thinking, collaboration, and strategic uses of education technology. Our mission is to share news and views from teachers who are crushing it in the classroom and making a difference for learners everywhere. I'm your host, Tim Cavey. Let's jump into today's episode. Today, I'm speaking with Dr. Todd Schmidt. Todd is a lead innovator at Harborview Elementary School in Corona del Mar, California. He's a proud husband, father to two beautiful girls, and principal. Follow Todd on Twitter at TSSchmitty and catch his writing at tsschmitty.blogspot.com. Todd, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Are you ready to talk education?
You betcha. That sounds like a good day.
All right. Well, let's keep that going. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit more about your current context there at Harborview Elementary?
Okay. Well, I'm in my 23rd year. Oh, wow. It's been a long time. This is my 23rd year in education. I was a middle school teacher and an elementary teacher and high school teacher for 13 years. Was an assistant principal for 2, and now I'm in my 7th year at Harborview, which is this nice little school. We're tucked up on the hill. We're on the coast, California. Amazing school. It's in an affluent area, but one of the things that I love most about it is just how willing my teachers and my parents, that community bands together to really do what's in the best interest of kids. So I am very blessed. These 7 years have flown by, being at the helm of this wonderful little elementary school.
Very, very cool. So it actually does have a view of the harbor, right? It's not just Harborview.
We can see the ocean from our school. Yeah. Oh. It's a preschool through 6th grade, about 470 kids. But yeah, it's I will say that sometimes, like my friends that are in Minnesota or Wisconsin or Canada, anywhere where it's getting cold right now and the snow and everything like this, I like to take pictures of it and just send it to them just to give them a little nudge, because I'm like, oh, look what we got today. So yeah, it's like almost, 78 degrees today.
Wow.
So it is not too shabby.
All right. Well, way to rub it in there, Todd. I love that. Todd, why don't we start by going to a time of adversity that you faced somewhere along your education journey, and then explain to us how you worked through that experience.
I think one of the first ones that I can remember that really kind of had a deep impact on me was when I actually decided to make that move from being a classroom teacher to being an administrator. It was tough. I applied several times in my district for different assistant principal positions. And each time I just kept being told that I didn't have the experience, that the people they chose had more experience. And it was it was such a double-edged sword. How do you get experience when you can't get the job to get the experience?
Right.
And there was at one point where I really, truly was just like, this is so frustrating. Why do I keep doing this to myself? And I was lucky enough that I had a superintendent at the time who really kind of brought me in and said, look, I'm going to give you a couple of pointers. And he said, you need to start looking outside the district simply because this district is too small. You need to start looking out at different options. And he was really good at also saying you need to be a summer school principal, take those experiences, and then move on. And so I did it and applied for the assistant principal position at a school in Costa Mesa, California, and got it. And it was that reminder, because I really was I was down the dumps, and it was just like so frustrating because you just you start doubting yourself. You start doubting, is this the right move? Should I just stay where I'm at? And I'm really glad that I kind of stuck with it, but it was helpful to have mentors and be willing to look to mentors to kind of guide me through that process, because I think my wife and my daughter would tell you that summer between when I didn't get a job and whatnot, I was not pleasant to be around. And so I think that really did kind of help. And it's helped as I've moved forward, because there have been times where when I made the jump to principal that I didn't get the job right away. And knowing that there's kind of a plan and figuring out that, I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be and where I'm going to fit best. I mean, I'm really glad that I didn't get some of the positions, because it's put me on the track to where I'm at now. And so I think that was a big one. I think another one for me as a principal just happened actually last year when I had when my attendance clerk looked at me and said, "Todd, the problem is that you try to do too much and small things fall through the cracks." And this summer, I came across a friend of mine. We were at the NAESP conference in Orlando this past summer, and she referred to it as shiny object syndrome. And I was like, "Yep, that describes it perfectly." Is that I was so captivated by all of these things that I wasn't really taking the time to be focused on just a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
And once I kind of made that like cognizant realization, it made me at least get started with this year of really going, okay, I'm not going to get distracted by the other stuff. I'm really just going to emphasize these things. And that's where I'm going to stick with until I see them all the way through. And it has been freeing in a lot of ways, but it's still, it's a work in progress. But at least I also have made an announcement at like back to school night. I told my teachers at our first staff meeting so that they could hold me accountable too. Because I think they do know that sometimes it gets very alluring. You're like, oh, that looks like fun. And like, So you said that you were going to slow down. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So it does help to have those accountability partners as well, and making your goals and making your intentions public so that people can hold you to those.
Todd, on your Twitter profile, you share the hashtags DadsasPrincipals and MakerDads. So it's evident that fatherhood is close to your heart. Talk about that connection between fatherhood and being a principal.
Absolutely. I think that anybody who's in education knows that this job is more than just, physical and mental. It's very emotional. You make a lot of emotional connections with a lot of people, especially with students. And I've always wanted to be a dad. Like, this has always been a big thrill for me. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, two daughters. And with the ideas of Dads as Principals, that came out actually again at a conference where 5 dads, we were kind of talking about just trying to create that elusive work-life balance, and how sometimes you can get totally sucked into the work aspect of it, and then you don't have anything left emotionally for your family. And so MakerDads, which was created by Joe Mazza, it has that same idea, is for dads to really kind of be intentional with finding ways to engage with their kids, to play with their kids, to make things with their kids, but to just, block out that time. And those two hashtags, again, just kind of get back to that whole idea that we are more than just an educator. Many of us are parents, and, we don't want to miss this stuff. And so finding those memories with our kids, sharing them out, connecting with other dads. It was amazing. When we started Dads as Principals, it kind of was a bit tongue in cheek. And now there's over 3,000 followers on our Twitter account for Dads as Principals.
Wow.
And it just kind of showcases that there are a lot of people who are really looking to make those connections with people to find that. I mean, we're always striving. I don't think anybody really has the perfect work-life balance. If they do, I'd love to meet them and ask them what they do. But it's a work in progress, and I think that that's one of the reasons why I've latched onto those groups so much.
Well, you're challenging me, Todd, and wow, a lot of that is definitely convicting, and I think there's probably some value for all of us as parents to take a look at the comments and some of the posts under Dads as Principals, and I know there's a Moms as Principals as well, so good threads to follow along with and just keep us centered, right?
Yep. Yeah, it is. And it's also not to beat yourself up, because there are times where you run out of time, and you sometimes one thing takes up more of it. So being human and knowing that there are other people to support you through that process, I think, is one of the reasons why Twitter, social media just as a whole, has been so invaluable to me.
Very cool. Todd, you're also quite involved on Twitter with an ongoing chat or conversation called LeadUpChat, or hashtag LeadUpChat. And so, speaking to someone like myself who has been a little hesitant about jumping into Twitter chats, tell us a little bit more about what this chat is all about, and who would you like to see participating?
Okay, well, LeadUpChat, the cool part about this one is it's for all educators. It's not specific to administrators. It's for all educators at all levels, whether you're a new teacher, a veteran principal, a district office official, there's superintendents who join in, there's consultants who jump in. It really does kind of look at how we find that blend between learning and culture, how we can help. It's an idea from John Maxwell about leading up, pushing people up and getting and motivating them and supporting them in that realm. And for someone who doesn't do Twitter chats, I would say I totally understand why. I didn't get it either. But the thing is that, I have a doctorate, and Twitter has been better professional development than that was, which is kind of sad at times because I'm like, I'm going to be paying for that thing for a while. But, to be able to connect with people on a weekly basis at a very specific time, to have a conversation that's live, there's nothing like that where you're with like-minded individuals who are looking to be innovative, looking to be creative, looking to be inspired. It can be very lonely. I know there's a lot of people on sites where they try to espouse this and it's trying to be a prophet in your own land, and people are just like, nope. But they get on there and they're able to be with people who continue to push them, who continue to support them. And I will say that Twitter there's that adage that, it takes a handshake. The first time you meet somebody, it takes it from a handshake into a hug. And the people, every time I've gotten to meet somebody from LeadUpChat, I've been doing it for about 3 years now, you make these connections, and you get to, and they push your thinking. It's not just a bunch of, people parroting the same talking points. It really is challenging your thinking, pushing your thinking, getting you to kind of step outside your comfort zone, but sharing ideas. So much of the stuff that I've been able to put on to my own campus and that some of my teachers have been able to put into their classrooms came from just people being willing to share. And to just have that dialogue and that connection, it really does give you hope for the future of education.
Oh, my heart, Todd. That was one of the best pitches for Twitter I've ever heard. So I can just imagine at Harborview, that's something that your teachers are encouraged to participate in for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask just a couple of sort of practical questions around LeadUpChat. So first of all, how long does it last?
It's 1 hour.
1 hour. And I'm going to ask you a Twitter chat etiquette question here. Is it cool if someone just pops in and then pops out and disappears again? Or,
yeah, absolutely.
Or is that a bad vibe?
No, I think sometimes it happens. There are times where being a parent, sometimes I have early morning soccer games. So you jump in for a little bit, you take part of it. I think that you get even just a little bit is better than nothing. Right. And I think that it is. Yeah. And sometimes, I've had teachers, I've had other folks that I know, other colleagues who we call lurking. They just kind of they watch it, and sometimes they'll maybe answer something every now and again. Look, you get in what you're going to put out. I think that one of the best parts about LeadUp, as well as several of the other Twitter chats that you can be a part of, is that people encourage you to, share your insight. You want those other voices. You want people to ask questions and say, wait, why did you do that? Or how did you do that? Or what pushback did you get? Or I'm struggling with, culture in my classroom. The morale is so low, and you're then all of a sudden just giving all of these things. So yeah, jump in, jump out. Life happens, but be a part of it. It's wonderful. It's every morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time and 8:30 Central. So it is a little early for those of us on the West Coast, but you know what? It is one of the best ways for me to start a Saturday and start my weekend, and it really just kind of just rejuvenates me.
I'm going to get that into my Google Calendar, Todd, and you're going to see me show up there at some point. Okay, so that's going to happen. But no,
yeah,
I appreciate
you that.
No, I appreciate you saying that, because honestly, I felt like, man, if I introduce myself and where I'm from, in some chat, and then I'm pulled aside to like some parenting thing or whatever, I just feel like, man, I'm just dropping the ball on this group, and it's probably better I not show up at all. But okay, you're encouraging me to jump in. Okay.
Even if you have to jump in the middle, like we've had people who've jumped in and we're halfway through. It's like, yeah, jump in. Who cares?
Okay.
New question, go. Come on in. So water's warm.
In California.
Especially, yes.
So, Todd, moving on, what is it that is really exciting you about education today? This might be a big picture kind of idea, which you're seeing from your principal, administrator, lead innovator position, or something at the micro level that you see your teachers doing right there in the classroom.
I'm really excited about a couple of things. One is there's being more of an emphasis on the whole child.
Right.
In our test-driven society where, every kid is basically delineated by their test score, to really start to see a dramatic shift into incorporating social emotional learning, really making sure that we're taking care of these kids on all levels, not just academically, but really being emotional supports for them, helping them be able to navigate an ever-changing world. Technology is changing so rapidly, and so finding ways for teachers and administrators to be able to engage kids with it, not to replace the teacher, but to really enhance the learning. Things like project-based learning and maker spaces and these type of things, they tap into something that I think gets ignored, and it is those kiddos who need a reason sometimes to get to school. You're a great kid. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I have so many supportive parents on my campus who are going to do what it takes to get their kids there. But to see a lot of Title I schools, a lot of schools that are starting to see that, to close that achievement gap, we got to give them a purpose. We got to give them a reason. They got to know that they're loved and they're supported and they're going to be taken care of. All those Maslow, needs are going to be met. But at the same time, we're going to find something that excites them and gets them motivated and is going to put them on a path to success, whether that includes college or not. I mean, you're starting to see more and more where trades are starting to make a comeback, and those wood shop, auto shop kinds of classes, and then some of them that just really kind of get people to be able to leave high school and go right into a career. That really does excite me, because it's helping us keep kids in school at all levels.
Well said. And then, Todd, outside of education, talk to us about another area of passion and learning for you that exists outside of the classroom. What is it that is lighting your fire as a person when you leave Harborview Elementary?
Besides my family and my friends, I'm really trying to be mindful of the time that I get to spend with them. I have really started to try to make sure I'm taking care of myself personally. Through exercise. I recently joined Orange Theory. I don't know if you guys have those in Canada. It's an amazing workout, and it really has kind of it's been life-changing for me, which is thrilling. I'm also a big sports fan. I love football season. I love baseball season, and I'm a long-suffering LA Chargers, formerly San Diego Chargers fan. And so it kills me at times to have that, but it's just those are I love reading. I'm really trying hard to also make sure I'm balancing between reading the professional books with the personal reading books that I could recommend to kids. I mean, that has been a hoot, because I'm tapped back into young adult fiction, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I've forgotten how fun these books can be. So
yeah.
So that's where I'm kind of at right now.
All right, another vote for Orange Theory, something that I keep hearing about, and I know it's very structured, right, Todd?
Very structured. It's an hour long. You have a coach, somebody's pushing you through. They create the workout for you.
Right.
They motivate you. It can be a little competitive, because you see your heart rate up on this big old board, and you're like, okay, trying to get into the right zone. But I have been. I'm one of those people who has the ability to put on weight pretty easily. And as I've gotten older, it's been a lot harder to take it off.
Sure.
And have been struggling with that for a couple of years, and tried Orange Theory with my wife. She was doing it, and I'm like, all right, I need something different. Let me try this out. And I'm a big old convert now, and I will tell anybody to go to it, because it was dramatic. I was able to lose about 30 pounds.
Wow.
Just doing that. And it's made me feel better. It's given me more energy. So yeah, another vote for it. Big plug.
All right. Well, on the face of it, I like the idea of the accountability. So that's definitely a big plus. And then, Todd, share about a personal habit. Now, you've got your doctorate. You pushed through several years of post-secondary. You're an administrator. You're a committed father and husband. How do you balance it all? And what is your secret? What's your secret sauce?
Oh, well, this is a work in progress for me, because I realize I'm a very big picture kind of a guy. So I get lost in the details sometimes. I'm sometimes forgetful about the details. So I needed something. And I am a big tech person, but I found out I really do need to write stuff down. Like, I need to actually go from mind to hand to paper. And
Sure.
I came across Michael Hyatt, who runs kind of like variety of businesses and has done a lot in the area of self-help and whatnot. He came out with something called the Full Focus Planner. And it's a quarterly, it's like a calendar, it's like a data book, and you write down, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you need to do today? What's your calendar look like? What's your day look like? And it's just been very, very helpful for me to be able to have them. And then every quarter you get a new book, and you kind of pick up from there. And so just the act of writing down my goals, just the act of writing down my day each day. Like, okay, what do I have today? What's important? What do I got to focus on? And then what are my big three things? Like, what are my tasks that I just got to get done today? That has helped make me take the time actually to just pause and kind of reflect on what do I got to get done. And then at the end of the day, to reflect on what did I accomplish and what do I need to move forward to tomorrow. So big fan of it. It has really helped. I've showed it to a couple of different people. And it really has helped kind of keep me balanced.
Okay. Well, I'll take a look for the Michael Hyatt Full Focus Planner. And I am a big fan of any kind of productivity hack or a tool that is working for others. I am very interested in. So thanks for sharing that one, Todd. We're moving into some picks here in different areas. And I call this the rapid fire recommendation round. It doesn't actually have to be too rapid fire, but we'll start with Twitter. Who do you recommend that we follow on Twitter? And I know this is a tough one, but maybe is there someone out there that has really been drawing your attention lately, or maybe someone under the radar that you'd like to point out?
I'm going to give you somebody who's also one of the DadsasPrincipals, and his name is Hamish Brewer. And I, over the last year and a half, to watch what he has done, he was moved into a middle school that was considered one of the poorest performing in Virginia.
Okay.
He had done amazing things as an elementary principal, was moved into this. He is in an area that has gangs. It has a high poverty rate. And in a year, he's a skateboarding principal.
Okay.
He's tattooed. He's from New Zealand, but he is so real. And I mean, to just watch him, and then I consider him more than a friend. He is a brother to me. And to just watch it, like to see it actually happening and realize he's one of those guys who actually walks his talk, and to see what he's done and the absolute 180 that school has done in a year. And I know it's been emotional for him, and I know it's been taxing on him, but that's the kind of stuff where you're like, okay, it can be done. And you look at what he did and how he focused on culture and how he focused on relationships. And it was like a real life, what's that movie with Morgan Freeman? Lean on Me, Stand By Me, Lean on Me. And I mean, but to just see it, if you have to watch his journey. He's going to be writing a book that I think will be one of the most amazing things, just because it will go through the highs and lows of doing something like that. And to know that he's done it, and to know the passion that he presents and he brings, oh my gosh, it's motivating, inspiring, humbling. He is a full package. I am truly, truly impressed by that man.
Love it. And so if you're looking for Hamish Brewer, he's at BrewerHM on Twitter, and I'm following him now. And I think it sounds like we should all be following this guy. So thanks for that one. And then
you bet.
And then Dr. Todd, you're eminently qualified to advise us on this one. What are you encouraging your staff team there at Harborview to be using in their classroom as far as EdTech tools? What's really exciting you in terms of possibilities for learning?
My favorite one right now is FlipGrid. It is amazing because of its ability to engage student voice and choice. And the hashtag, if you want to see what teachers are using it with, I mean, it's called a FlipGrid Fever, hashtag FlipGrid Fever. You can see so many ways that you can use this, and it's free. Microsoft bought FlipGrid. It's now free, and anybody can use it and find ways to do everything from book talks. I've seen teachers use it as a private way for students to be able to share their passions, their concerns, their issues, and be able to respond to them. I mean, to go from all of these different venues, but it really does give every student a voice. And that's really exciting to get to see. And I mean, we've seen, and it's also a great way to engage your community, and in a positive way. I mean, you have to put up a video, so, it kind of lowers that effective filter a bit, and you're just kind of like, wow, look at that. Everybody's out there. So big fan of FlipGrid.
Awesome. Next, recommend a book, one that you've been reading lately, or maybe one of your all-time faves, and tell us why you recommend it.
I'm going to recommend one that I actually just finished reading. Is The Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor. His TED Talk is one of the most watched TED Talks around. But when you read the book and the ideas that he gives on being intentional with how the most successful people are happy, how they are happy, what are they doing, and how are they able to then bring that into their work life, their personal life. I mean, I just found it so incredibly applicable, but it was just so, it was written in just a very conversational way, but to see the different, Fortune 500 companies that have used this from, the different countries around the world that have been using a lot of these research-based strategies in the area of positive psychology, it really does give, if your emphasis is a teacher or as an administrator, is to really focus in on culture, the culture of your environment, building those positive relationships. One of the best books on how to do it and really be intentional with your own life of how you can really kind of flip that switch. So huge recommendation. Highly recommend it.
I like that review because I think sometimes we see titles like that and we feel like it's just fluff, but it's clearly not.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of building culture and community, we need those practical, thoughtful pieces of advice. And so the Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor. Thank you for that. In terms of podcast listening, Todd, I don't know if your times at Orange Theory allow you to listen to podcasts, but maybe it's when you're on your commute. But when you do listen to podcasts, what's on your deck these days?
And that is funny because my school and where I live in my school, you get to the joys of Southern California. It may be beautiful, but we deal with a lot of traffic. So I do sit in my car a bit, both going and coming. And there are two that I love. Actually, there's three, but the first one is Check This Out. It's by Ryan O'Donnell and Brian Briggs, who are two educators up in Northern California. And it's very funny because they're friends too. And they just share a lot of ed tech stuff. And it's just, the conversation is hysterical. It's like you're peeking in on one of their phone calls. And so I love that one. The Google Tribe, Teacher Tribe,
yes.
Teacher Tribe podcast, Matt Miller and Casey Bell.
So good.
I love that one just because they keep you updated on everything that's going on with Google as it relates to Google. And since it's becoming such a huge tech education tool, I love hearing their stuff. And then I have another one that is called EdTech Confessions, and it's three ladies who are teachers, and they kind of do something very similar to Brian Briggs and Ryan O'Donnell, but they are a kick. And so I enjoy those ones just because they do share a lot of the things that are actually happening in classrooms. And I think that's really, really important.
One strong impression that I get, Todd, just in the course of this interview is that the learning has not stopped for you. In fact, maybe it's even accelerated as you've become a principal and leader. And I just love that. I think that is so cool. So the fact that you're listening to EdTech podcasts is really, really awesome. And I'm definitely with you on the Google Teacher Tribe. I look forward to checking those other two out. On YouTube, Todd, what are you subscribing to and what do you think we should check out? Is there something that has been valuable in terms of education or maybe something just personally amusing?
Well, I'm going to give you one just because he happens to be, he has more energy and more creativity than just anybody I know as a principal, is Brad Gustafson. His YouTube channel, he just posts the videos of the things that he's doing at his school in Minnesota that I love. And it's so funny because it's so his videos are funny, but you get to see how he engages kids. So, but you see like what he's talking about, like when because he writes a great blog post and he wrote a book called Renegade Leadership, but you're seeing him again. The downside to social media is that people can kind of create an image. They can create a false picture, of what they do and how they get things done and whatnot. And
sure.
I'm very impressed by people who are very real. Like what you see is what you get, and that they do in fact walk their talk. And Brad is one of those principals that you see what he's doing, and you're seeing how he's engaging kids. You see how he's engaging his community, and really kind of just doing some simple things that anyone could do, whether you're a teacher or a principal. So highly recommend it.
Awesome. I will definitely add that one to my list. And then the last question, Todd, is not educational whatsoever, but purely for fun. And if you're like me, you probably don't get as much time on Netflix as you might want. But when you are on Netflix, what have you been watching lately?
My wife and I, we try to find a binge show. Like sometimes we'll ask people for different things. That's how we got hooked on like Scandal. and whatnot. But we got hooked into the new Jack Ryan series.
Okay.
That Netflix actually is putting out. Oh my gosh, that was intense. It was so good. And then you know they put out all of the episodes all at once, and then they're not putting out new episodes until like March or something like that. We got done with them all. We're like, no.
Yeah.
So if you like the Jack Ryan movies, those Tom Clancy kinds of books,
Totally.
and it's very timely because it does kind of shows you kind of the political and current events kind of a thing. But I we just enjoyed the action, and it was intense and really, really, really good. John Krasinski is excellent. So, but yeah, we just finished that. So now I'm on the lookout. If you got anything to recommend of a good series to try out, we've tried a couple of different ones. Some of them we get into, other ones we don't, but that one was one that I really, really enjoyed.
Well, I haven't seen the new Jack Ryan series yet. I'm glad to hear that John Krasinski is making that transition from The Office over to a very different genre. And I really love him in The Office. And so
yes,
also like the Jack Ryan franchise as well. And I just think way back to The Hunt for Red October. Did you see that one?
Yes. Oh, God, yes. Love him.
Classic. Sean Connery and...
Yep, and Alec Baldwin. Mm-hmm.
Very young Alec Baldwin, yeah. Todd, this has been amazing, man. You are so inspiring. What are the best ways for people to follow you and get in touch with some of those great ideas coming out of Harborview Elementary?
Well, I do try to espouse the whole idea of being on Twitter and the Instagram and Voxer. They're all the same one. Facebook, I'm on there as T.S. Schmidt. And then if you'd like to see what our school's doing, like we're really trying to kind of showcase and get my teachers as well as my community to kind of, flatten those walls and get you to see what goes on day in and day out on our campus. And so we're Harborview Elementary, and it's Harborview LM is our Twitter and our Instagram one. And then if you want to see it on Facebook, it's hb.principal is the main page for that. But those are all the ways that you can connect. I love connecting with people because, again, I love sharing ideas and getting different things and being able to kind of bounce ideas off of people and go, oh, that's good. I like that. Tweak that a little bit and use it.
Always learning, right? And like I said, Todd, you're going to see me at some point. It may not be this Saturday, but you're going to see me pop up there at the LeadUpChat on Saturday mornings, early Saturday mornings. So look forward to that as well. Hey, thanks again so much, Dr. Todd Schmidt, for your time today, for sharing your thoughts on education and all of those wonderful resources. I want to wish you a fantastic year. All the best and take care.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Bye, Todd.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Teachers on Fire, where teachers come to share, learn, and be inspired. Please subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review on iTunes, and follow us on Twitter at Teachers on Fire. I'm your host, Tim Cavey, saying goodbye for now, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Teachers on Fire podcast.